Hey everybody, welcome back to our channel. I'm Tim.
I'm Gail, and you are chasing the Joneses.
Hey listen, it's a really great time just to go ahead and tell you now, if you're new to our channel, welcome. We're glad that you guys are with us. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. If you're old to the channel, make sure you hit that like. Also, we want to get this video out all we can, right?
Yeah.
And so we're excited about where our channel is going and about what we have to talk about today, which is what?
Camp hosting.
Yeah, camp hosting. And what we're going to do is we want to talk to you today about, we've done it now 3 times.
3 times.
And so we wanted to bring to you, after we gained some experience about it, you know, we wanted to come to you and say, hey, this is what camp hosting is about.
Right.
This is what we do. And, well, we want to give you 7 things that we love about camp hosting. And then 4 things that we don't love. So stay tuned, because here we go. Well, we have been traveling all around, and we have done camp hosting 3 times.
3 times.
And I guess what people need to really know is what is a camp host, or another term for it is work camping.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so, what are those things what's that definition?
Okay.
What does it mean?
Okay. Well, there is a bit of a difference between work camping and camp hosting. First off, work camping generally involves you getting some sort of a salary, maybe not a huge salary, but you get paid something, versus camp hosting, which is where you trade service hours for the ability to camp in a site for free in a place that hopefully you wanted to be anyway.
Right. Yeah. So
other than that, the things are a bit the same.
They're a bit the same throughout, right?
Yeah.
You know, the duties vary from park to park to
from state
to state, right? And so not all the duties that we're doing here necessarily wouldn't be done in Florida or Texas or Utah or wherever you go, but most of it will be.
We are in a Michigan state park, and we've hosted now in 2 different parks, and actually the duties varied from park to park because each park is different.
Yeah, it is
based on what the offerings are in the park.
So what are the duties of a camp host? Well, they vary from state to state, as we said earlier, but these are some of the things that are required of us.
Yes.
But before we get there, let's talk about what we don't do.
Ooh, yeah, definitely. There's things we don't do. We do not do any kind of law enforcement activity. We are not the EMTs or the fire service either. We're volunteers. But what we would do if there was an emergency is we would contact the rangers. They'll come in and be the tough guys. You know, so there's times when we may want to just go over and say, hey, your music is a little loud. But we wouldn't go over and say, hey, your music is loud, turn it off or you're out of the park. You know, we wouldn't do something like that. And then here in Michigan, we also don't collect any money. We don't deal with money at all.
So what are the duties of a camp host? What are some of the things that we have to do? What are some of the things that is required of us during a day or a week? Those core requirements.
So like we said, you know, so many things vary, but these are the core things that would be kind of the same everywhere you go.
Right.
And those are answering camper questions, planning campground activities, and performing light park maintenance duties. That's really it.
Yeah.
So the activities that you would do kind of depend on where you are.
Right.
You know, different campgrounds have different offerings, and so that would be tailored. And then what are your gifts? What are your strengths? You can actually use your unique talents to enhance the camping experience of people that are in your park that week.
And the big deal is that you're the face of the campground.
Yeah.
So the workers are on a schedule, and they work at a specific time, but you're there, and you're the guy and girl that people see as you're walking through the campground, and
right.
and you have we have our shirts on,
Got a shirt.
and on the back of my shirt it says volunteer camp host, so
right.
they know exactly who we are. But we have the same designation on the shirt that the workers do, and so they see us as that, so they come up and ask you questions.
We are strictly the host, the face of the park.
Yeah.
We're the happy people, the good guys.
Right. So what do we do? Well, she just said it first. We are the face of the park. We're the people that they come to. Workers are working. They have their scheduled hours that they work, and generally it's 2 shifts. Morning shift and evening shift, and there's a crossover. But generally they don't interact with the public so much. But so we're the face of the campground. That's who they see. We also do volunteer.
Yes.
Because work and volunteer are 2 different things.
Right.
And so they want us to volunteer a certain amount of hours a week.
And that number of hours varies from state to state. In Michigan, it is 30 hours. So somewhere they'd like you to serve 5 days during the week, 30 hours during that period. Right. So how you split it up really just kind of depends on your activities, and the needs of your park.
Yeah, how you feel that you need to run things based off who you are.
Right.
Every person is different. Every person does different things. Like we talked to one guy, he does 1 craft a week.
Yeah. But
what we do is we do 3 crafts on Saturdays, and so we let the kids rotate, and so they get more things done. So, so that's important. Is however you feel you should kind of do those things, right?
Correct.
And in exchange for doing those things, right, we receive a site that is money. We don't pay anything on the site. Plus, almost always, there's some exception, almost always, those sites for camp hosts are full hookups.
Yeah.
We forgot to talk about one of the big things, because that reminds me about the hookup. That normally they require you for at least 30 days, at least a month, right? And that's why you have the full hookup, so you're not going back and forth and all that other stuff if there's no other hookups in the thing. So.
Correct. Here in Michigan, most campgrounds, if not all, are what's called semi-primitive, which means there's a place where you get water and a place where you can dump, but when you get to your site, it's just the electricity. Right. So we don't have to keep going back and forth.
Right. Yeah. We're going to talk to you a little bit about the eligibility and the selection process and how to apply.
Okay. To apply, you can either just go to your nearest state park campground and ask for an application, or you can apply online. If you are in a different state, it's pretty easy. In fact, we've applied for Texas, and this is how I found it. I Googled the state name, DNR for Department of Natural Resources, campground, hosting. Done. And what will happen is that will send you to that state's Department of Natural Resources, their camping stuff, and it will let you know how you can volunteer. There's other volunteer opportunities, but then you just scroll down until you find camp hosting.
Yeah, you can also just if you're trying to find somewhere offsite from the state campgrounds, you can also just Google campground host.
Campground host,
whatever state you're going into, and it'll give you a list of where you can go and where you apply and all that other stuff. So it's not that difficult. Okay, now we're going to talk about the 7 things that we love and the 4 things that we really kind of don't love, right? And so we want to just tell you these 7 things. Okay. And number 1 is what?
Meeting people. It is so awesome because remember, we're on mission, and so while we're out, this gives us an opportunity to connect with every single person in the campground. In fact, our goal is to actually introduce ourselves and interact with every single camper anyway. But as we're doing it, God just keeps giving us these opportunities to have these really awesome conversations with people and to truly build lifelong relationships. So that part has been absolutely phenomenal. It's, although we cannot do church services, in a state park, we do get to have a ton of conversations with people and love on them and pray with them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's
I'll tell you one thing. This past last week is that I walked by a campsite and I walked up to introduce myself, and this little girl saw me. She was, I don't forget how old, maybe 18.
Oh, yes.
Maybe 2 years, two
She's
and a half.
maybe 2.
She was probably 3.
Yeah.
And she just ran up to me and gave me a great big hug. And every time I walked by,
every time,
yeah. She would come up and every day she gave me a hug.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I loved it. I mean, it was great, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, talking with people. The other thing that we like to do is crafts with the kids.
Yes, crafting is so much fun, and we get a small stipend in the state of Michigan. At least we get a small stipend to buy the crafting supplies, and most places will have a storage shed or a storage area where you've got the supplies from years past. So you get to do these cool crafts with kids, and then the parents are there together, and it is a chance to be like we used to be. Just to hear the chatter and for kids and parents to sit down together and work on something that the parents didn't have to go get all the supplies, and so it's such a peaceful, joyful time with them. And then we'll snatch their cameras and take pictures on their phones, so they've got that memory to take as well. Absolutely. It is so much fun. Then after the craft time, every time we walk by, the kids are now saying hi, because they know us.
That's true. Yeah, they know us. So the third thing that we like and we love about camp hosting is that we get to work with the staff. Yeah. And let me just say a little bit about that. As a camp host, you interact as much as you feel like interacting.
Right.
But when you interact with the workers and you talk with the workers, you listen to their problems, you hear them out, and you help. You just have yourself available and say, well, if you need help today, just let me know, and I'll be glad to help you. And they don't really too much give you too much stuff. I mean, they told me a couple things, and we went and did them, but it's all about connecting with them, working with them, because what's going to happen is if you decide to come back the next year, that is on your side.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, you have that on your side. And people, in fact, when we told one of the workers here, a young girl who's trying to become a ranger, we said we're leaving at the end of the month, and she frowned.
She frowned. Yeah, it was so neat that we're going to be missed.
And we're going to be missed. Yeah, absolutely.
So, and this is probably nationwide, with all of the cuts going on, they have less and less staff to do their job.
Right.
And I'm sure it is incredibly stressful. We've never had a mean ranger anywhere we work, but it's a lot. And so just for us to come up alongside them and say, hey, let me help, or just to see them and validate that they're doing all the awesome stuff that they do. Yeah, it makes a big difference.
And then a fourth thing we love is what?
It's like a moving RV show. I mean, you get to see all these cool RVs, all these amazing tent setups. You name it. There's, because at state parks, they don't have all the super regulations like a real high-end place would have. So you can see every variety of camper or camping situation, from a car to the coolest tents to the most maxed out awesome RVs. You get to see them all. And then because we're camp hosts too, we get to go over and talk and ask people about them.
Yeah, it's really fun. And a lot of them will take us through through their rig.
Yeah.
And also, I think talking about that, I'll put a link at the bottom, but our last video was about this awesome fifth wheel.
If you haven't seen that, you got to post that link.
You got to look at that, because that
incredible.
Is awesome.
It was totally custom.
Yeah. And by walking by, connecting with the guy, he was like, "Hey, come on in. Let me show it to you." And that's the kind of things that we get. Absolutely. And I love looking at different RVs. I just really love doing it. So,
I do too.
Yep. And then the fifth thing that we do is
what we like.
We like watching. We love watching the turnover.
Yeah.
The people come, They get all set up. We look at everything, watch over everything, and then all of a sudden, Saturday and Sunday, everybody leaves.
It's kind of sad when they leave.
Yeah.
But then, you know what? It kind of reminds me of Love Boat. You know, and we're Julie. Okay, you got to be a certain age, but we're like Julie, the cruise director, right? And so we've made all these relationships, and then those people, it's like bye, like this morning, bye, see you, love you, okay, bye, and then it's quiet for a minute, and we, do all of our cleanup and everything, but then the new cast of characters comes in.
Yeah.
And we
sometimes they're characters.
And we notice that even when the people are gone, it's like the imprint. Like Ed was right there, you know, and it's like I can still see Ed, but then before it was Gloria, and so just watching that turnover, and it's like this new set of adventures coming. Yeah, it's fun.
Okay, here's number 6 that we love. Number 6, and number 6 is making an impact on other people's lives. But when you make an impact on somebody's lives, when you kind of connect with them and you encourage them for things and you help them do things, I mean, you really make an impact on their life. And you know what? They leave happy,
right?
And they leave excited about coming back for the next time, and but also they leave on a good experience.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big things.
Yeah. This week I was sitting outside. I started just making coffee in the morning, just as a way to meet people, and this lady came, and she just, like, our eyes locked, and she just came over and she sat with me, and then she just started just sharing and sharing some real, like, tender stuff, and we had some time to, like, weep a little bit and pray, and I feel like, within maybe a half hour we're best friends. And but that was something, and she specifically said, I couldn't do this with somebody back home. There's this, people's self-defense and their walls are much lower inside of a campground.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then number 7, the 7th thing that we really love about camp hosting is this.
What?
It is the flexibility of hosting.
Yes.
The flexibility. You don't have to be here all the time. Right. You don't have to be, in your trailer, in your camper all the time. You don't have to be in your whatever. I mean, you're outside, you're walking around. You don't have to be, and it's so flexible. You can do what you want to do any time of the day that you want to do it.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do a craft like they used to do crafts on Fridays, but we decided to do Saturdays because we knew that all the kids would be there by Saturday.
Right.
And so we wanted to make sure we did that. So we just flip-flopping everywhere we go. That's our schedule.
And at the same time, before school started, instead of only doing it the Friday or Saturday, we also would do something midweek, because we realized, at least where we were, there were a lot of people that only camped, say, Monday through Thursday or Friday, and then they left.
Yes.
So you get to be flexible.
You do.
Yeah.
You get to be flexible on things that you do. So that is the 7 things that we love about camp hosting. And then the 4 things that we don't like about camp. We don't love. I'm going to say don't like, but we don't love about camp hosting. And here's number 1. Knocks on the door in the middle of the night. The other night we had somebody knock on our door at like 11:30 at night saying, "Hey, where's the wood? We want to buy wood." And we're like, "We don't sell wood." So that can bother you a little bit. You don't get a lot of it, but you do get those ones that are just trying to, make sure they're doing whatever, and they knock on your door in the middle of the night.
True. Generally, though, if they come late or something, it's kind of like moves it back up to the cool thing, because they actually truly need something, and we're able to just kind of swoop in and be the superhero. Tim has helped somebody park, for example, that was super, super late getting in, and he was able to help them, to maneuver that kind of stuff. So sometimes it's an opportunity to be a superhero.
Yeah, it is. But number 2, what's number 2?
Number 2, y'all, cleaning the junk that people leave in their fire pits. That is so. It's not so much as a thing we don't like it, but it's also like the biggest pet peeve ever. Do you want to come up on a campsite and start unloading, and then you look down in the fire pit and it looks like an ashtray, you know,
No
or
way.
there's people's plastic bottles in there and stuff.
Yeah.
That's just so gross. And you got to go by the trash can
Anyway,
right? So take your trash with you. But we do it, and in fact, as we're cleaning it, I'm sitting there going, it's worth it, it's worth everything, you know. But that stuff is toxic. It doesn't burn, it melts, and it's bad for our environment, and it's just mean for you to leave a campsite, because especially the camp places we've been, I guarantee you that's not what it looked like when you got here.
No,
you know.
No.
So
it was
leave
clean
it better than
right.
Yeah.
And then, you know, adding to that is that leaving junk in, you know, your unwanted things that got wet or whatever the case, leaving them at the campsite for someone else to pick up. I mean, that's really ridiculous.
Yeah.
In fact, I have a video coming out sometime soon about the etiquettes of camping, and those things are actually on it because we have witnessed it and watched it, and I got video about those types of things to show you on it anyway. So that's an up and coming video. I don't have it completed yet, but it's coming very soon. So, and then the third thing is dogs.
Yeah. Now this is universal for campers, period. I bet.
Campers, period.
Yeah, they all dislike this.
Dogs that aren't on leashes.
Yeah.
You know, it says when you come into a campground, your dog must be on a 6 or 8 foot leash.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you got kids riding their bikes, and I don't know what people are thinking. Well, my dog doesn't bite. Well, it doesn't bite you.
Right.
In fact, we had a neighbor. She just showed us her hand that their dog's got in a fight. Her dog's got in a fight and bit her.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know, you don't know the situation of the dog. And the other night we walked up to a camp. People camping, and both of their big dogs came right up to us.
Yeah.
And they were not looking happy at all. But you know, you gotta have it. Number one, it's the law. You gotta have a leash.
Right.
And number two, it's not only expected, but it's a policy.
Right. And the thing is, if something happens, all you can do is be sorry, but it's already happened.
But
to
what's
a
going to
child,
happen,
to a person,
right? And what's going to happen is you're going to get sued.
Yeah.
The dog's going to have to be put away. I mean, there's a lot of costs involved in just hooking your dog up to the leash. That's all you got to do. And nowadays, the campers like ours, our RV came with an actual clip.
It has a leash hook thing.
Leash right there. So why? Because they know that every dog must be on a leash. So stop having your dog off the leash because it's just it may not be this time, may not be next time, but somewhere down along, a little child's gonna run in there to pet that dog, and that dog's gonna snap at it, and then it's over with.
Okay, but since we're camp hosts, we can actually walk on over there. He did that the other day. He can walk over there and say, hey, your dog's just letting you know your dogs need to be on a leash. And it was funny because the people gave him this look like, who are you? And then he said, I'm the camp host. And they're like, oh, like that, right? And then we can turn and call and say, hey, this unit, their dogs were out. They've already been warned. Okay, so that part, is kind of cool too. Yeah.
And it is cool because, you know, I get to walk up. I mean, I don't know how many people this weekend had their dogs off the leash. I mean, there was like probably about 10 people that had their dogs off the leash. So,
and this is bear country.
Well, bear country. We're in bear country, Your
dogs could get dead.
Yeah. So last thing, number 4. Okay. Number 4. What we don't love about camp hosting.
Well, I don't want to say I don't love it. I want to,
You don't hate it,
right?
But you don't love it.
It's icky. Yeah.
But you don't love it.
It's icky.
And that is turning in the bottles and cans for cash.
They're so nasty. Okay, so the Michigan State Campgrounds actually have receptacles for returnable bottles. This is one of the states where there's a 10-cent deposit you put on all your bottles and cans, and so you can put them here and thanks, and then we'll turn them in, and the money goes into I can't remember the word. It's like the Michigan endowment fund, but it's for beautification of the park. So it goes for the major projects and stuff in the park. That's great. Appreciate it. But I tell you what, old beer stinks.
It does.
And then the soda, because, of course, I'm not mad at people because they didn't pour it all out or whatever. But then there's bees in there sometimes too, so you have to be really careful.
It's sticky. You gotta wear gloves. I mean,
you definitely gotta wear
gloves.
I
mean, we've taken back quite a few of them, but that's something I just don't love. So, I mean, I don't enjoy. I don't enjoy doing it on my own with my own cans and bottles.
True. A lot of times we end up just giving them to some. Right. Oh, and then when you get to the store, people are looking at you like, are you some kind of alcoholic or what? Yeah. So I always make sure and wear my thing. I'm a camp host. It's State Park, Yeah. But this month, we have already turned in over $131 worth of cans.
It's worth it.
That's a lot.
Because it goes to the beautification of campgrounds and state campgrounds. So, wow,
totally worth
what a thing. So those are the 7 things we love. Those are the 4 things we just don't love. So. We don't hate, but we don't love. But overall, I think I can say for both of us, we love doing camp hosting.
We love it. I think there's one huge bonus one.
There's one bonus one. I was just thinking about the same thing.
What's your bonus one?
The bonus one is that you save all that money.
Yes.
For a whole month or a whole 2 months of not have to pay campground fees.
Right.
And so what a blessing that is. I mean, you get, and that's been helpful for us because, coming up next is we're going to be, say we got it, and that was the new RV. So it really helped us out during that time.
Yeah.
And so we love camp hosting. It doesn't give us a problem at all. We just love the interaction with people.
Right.
Yeah.
It's actually enhanced the whole plan of being, nomads for Jesus. Yeah. Oh, and then for like every, whatever our budget numbers are, whatever we don't spend, then that money gets to either pay off our, pay an extra couple payments on our rig, or put more money into ministry so we can buy all the supplies, the tracks, and pay for our internet and all that kind of stuff. So it's a huge deal.
Big deal.
It's making it that much more possible.
It is.
So if you ever happen to have some extra change laying around, or you wanted to know about how to support our ministry, you can go to thetruth.org, and I believe it's /donate. And if I'm wrong, he'll put it down there. Because there's plenty of ways that you could support us, either, like buy us a tank of gas, or you can be a regular ongoing supporter of us so that we can continue doing this.
And so that's our story about camp hosting, and we're sticking to it.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for us. I'm Tim.
I'm your camp host, Gail.
And we'll see you
down the road.